Hey guys, what's up? It's good to see all of you. We'll just do a quick mic check as always. Let me know if the audio and the visuals are working. And if so, we'll get started. So give me a thumbs up or thumbs down in the chat. And we'll kick this thing off, all right? Alright, things appear to be working, so we'll go ahead and get this started. So welcome back everybody to Walks in Wall Street. Today is Thursday, November 16th, 2023. It is a beautiful night here in Lower Manhattan. I mean, today was a picture-perfect day in New York City. It was about 65 degrees, bright sunshine, not a lot of wind. It actually kind of felt like 75 degrees. I was sort of comparing it to a nice balmy fall day in Miami. It was amazing. Hopefully, that kind of weather will carry us over into the Thanksgiving week, and if we're lucky, maybe we'll get some 65-degree weather on Thanksgiving. That'd be fantastic, but, you know, we'll see. Speaking of weather, our friends down in Miami, Florida, and South Florida had some crazy weather. Now, it wasn't technically a tropical storm, it wasn't a hurricane, but there was over 10 inches of rain that fell in a very, very short span in South Florida. Heavy winds, high winds, trees down, power outages all across Miami-Dade and Broward County. So hopefully everybody is safe. Hopefully no property damage. I just got a text message late. It was probably around like 2 o'clock in the morning from Florida Power and Light, or Power and Electric, that my power went out, but I think it was restored within 6 hours, 6 to 10 hours. So anyway, all of that is good, but I do not believe they classified it as a tropical storm, which is kind of crazy, because with that amount of rain falling in such a short amount of time, I mean, that's kind of wild. But anyway, one of the things we're going to be talking about today, we're going to go back in time and talk about Home Depot's earnings. I think it's important to do a quick deep dive into Home Depot's earnings report. There was a lot of good things that came out of it, a lot of bad things. So we'll go over that today. Also, U.S. retail sales, right? They dropped for the first time in 7 months. I think many people on Wall Street and on Main Street are interpreting this data in the incorrect way. I'll give my personal spin on it, and we'll talk and debate whether retail sales and consumer spending is actually slowing in this country. Are we going to go into Q1 2024 with a weakened consumer? I guess we'll find out. But the headline is that U.S. retail sales fell for the first time in 7 months. And as we know, retail sales represents about a third of all consumer spending. And guess what? If you've been reading the Behind the Street newsletter, you'll know that 70% of GDP comes from consumer spending, right? So we need the consumer to be healthy, particularly in the United States, in order to have a healthy and functioning economy. As we've gone through earnings season, particularly with some of the major banks and the credit card issuers, well, one of the things we've been noticing is that consumer debt balances have been growing, and also delinquencies in terms of 30 and 90-day credit card defaults and delinquencies, as well as auto loans being defaulted on. That is increasing steadily, slowly but surely, towards pre-pandemic levels in Q4 of 2019. So this is a trend to watch. I think it's important to watch, but we also have some good news. So we'll talk about the good news. I would say the biggest piece of good news today, if you looked at commodities, particularly, is crude oil. Everybody could, if you have your Bloomberg terminal up, MarketSmith, or TradingView, go ahead and take a look at crude oil futures. I mean, talk about getting body slammed throughout the day, trading below its 200-day moving average again, trading at $73 a barrel. Now, this is good news, but it's, we can sort of interpret this two ways. In and of itself, oftentimes we could use commodities as a leading economic indicator. So as crude oil declines, And as we know that the market is generally forward-looking by about 6 months, well, what is this telling us about the economy's demand for crude? Not only the U.S. economy, but globally, right? In China. China and the U.S. are major consumers of crude and gas. So as that price is going down, does that mean that economic activity is going to fall, thus leading to less demand for crude, thus leading to cheaper prices? I don't know. It's possible. I mean, if we've been looking at some of the leading economic indicators, such as the ISM PMI numbers, which are the manufacturing numbers, we have been in steady decline in the manufacturing sector of the United States, which makes up about 20% of the economy. So the manufacturing sector is contracting in the U.S. We also have severe contraction in China. But I guess the positive spin on that is, guys, we are headed into the holiday season, which means the following. People are going to be traveling a lot more often, right? People are going to be flying, people are going to be driving, which is going to translate to lower prices at the pump, which is a very, very good thing. Now, speaking of lower prices, we did hear from Walmart as they reported earnings. The stock was down, but the CEO of Walmart came on the earnings call and said, we may not be facing an inflationary problem coming down the road, but a deflationary problem, right? And he actually talked about this coming Thanksgiving, and he gave some comparable stats. Now, I don't know how true this is. I'll have to fact check this, but apparently this year on Thanksgiving, to feed a family of 10, right, or 10 people to feed at your Thanksgiving dinner is going to cost $61.17, down 4.5% from last year as it hit a record high of $64.03. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if you can really feed 10 people with $60. I mean, maybe that's just because I have a skewed perception of things, being, a New Yorker and now a half Miamian. But I don't know in what world you could feed 10 people with $60. I mean, you're talking about a Thanksgiving dinner, right? So who knows? Anyway, all right, let me go ahead and close up the laptop here. I'll say hello to everybody in the chat, and we will kick the stream off here at South Street Seaport. Now, as a reminder, this coming Thursday, there will be no Behind the Street newsletter because it is going to be Thanksgiving. So we will be sending that newsletter out on Friday, okay? So if you're expecting it on Thursday, don't. Enjoy your time with your friends and family. I think that's more important than the financial markets. And we'll regroup on Friday. So if you want to be signed up to receive our free financial newsletter, all you have to do is scan the QR code on your screen or just type !news, N-E-W-S in the chat, and the Nightbot will drop the link to our Substack. And this next newsletter coming up is going to be action-packed. We're going to do a deep dive and do additional yield curve analysis, piggybacking off of what we already did last week. We're going to be doing a breakdown in terms of corporate earnings and also do a deep dive in retail sales and consumer spending. Okay? So once again, I'll go ahead and close up the laptop here, and I'll say hello to everybody in the chat, and we will get started. All right, let me clip the microphone on here, and we will be on our merry way. Oh, guys, the last thing I do need to say, okay, before we get started. I want to say a big thank you to all of our Walks in Wall Street viewers and our clients. So the sales data in New York City just came out for residential real estate sales. And our team, the Kirsten Jordan team at Douglas Elliman, came in number 2 for transaction volume. So out of all of New York City, we were the number 2 team, which is really great. So I thank all of you for supporting the stream, for supporting our business here, and being great clients and great customers. Believe it or not, this stream and this audience does wonders in getting the message out there about our projects that we have going on. So we've been able to put a lot of things under contract in a very, very tough market. So thank you to all of our clients and subscribers. In the month of October, out of all of the teams in New York City, we came in number 2. So hopefully we'll claim that number 1 spot every month next year. That's my goal, but we'll see. Who knows? All right, let's see who we have in the chat. Hey, I see Kevin Grant is here. What's up? Stephen Bate, Jeff in Southern Tier, New York. Thank you so much for being here. Sunshine After Rain, the RPT. Good to see you. Everybody, Austin City Limits, and Carol Reevy. Yeah, thank you, everybody. It's a big accomplishment for the team, particularly in such a tough market, right? And a very competitive market like the residential New York City real estate sales market. Very competitive, not a lot of deals being done right now. So, but the goal for next year, the goal for 2024 is to be the top sales team every single month of the year. And I think we could do it. I'm very confident we could do that. So, Abdullah, good to see you. Let's check out the Seaport here. Now, I did a tiny live stream earlier in the day. So now you can kind of see what the Seaport looks like and compare and contrast and see what you like better. Do you like it during the day? Do you like it at night? What do you think of the ambiance of the South Street Seaport here by the Tin Building? Let me know what you guys think. It's beautiful. I just finished a really nice dinner with a client, well, potential client, hopefully, has a beautiful apartment near Rector Street, right down in Lower Manhattan. Hopefully we'll get that listing, but it's gorgeous down here. Not a lot of people know about South Street Seaport, how much they built it up. So, Gene, we are nowhere near the Hudson Yards, unfortunately. Kevin Grant, what's up? Good to see you. So speaking of Target, they did report earnings yesterday. We did a deep dive into that, but Target is setting up like a whole holiday Christmas world here. I'm not too sure exactly what it is, but we were checking it out earlier in the day. Might as well check it out now. Yeah, Gene says maybe one night. I heard it has some good views. Yeah, I mean, we go to the Hudson Yards a lot, actually. We go a lot. I love the Hudson Yards. I think it's an amazing development. It's beautiful. This is Pier 17, so this is the first summer, this past summer, was the first summer that the Tin Building was open for business. There's restaurants in here, Jean George's, which is also in the Trump International Hotel and Tower all the way uptown. That's in here as well. It's just an amazing place. And also very clean. Dog friendly, but let's head into the Seaport. Maybe we'll check out Wall Street and maybe we'll go to Chinatown. Walk all through Soho. We'll check out Lower Manhattan. Jafet Perez, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. This place is called the iPic Theaters, right on South Street. It's kind of like a 3D movie experience. It's interesting. Vinny, I'm not too sure what that show is. I'll have to check it out. Lady Sarita says Target is doing a promo of a $25 Thanksgiving. Yeah, so I guess we'll jump right into it. Now, the CEO of Walmart is actually, and I interpret this as good news, right? He is seeing the prices of seafood come down. He is seeing the prices of eggs come down, chicken come down. All in all, food is getting a lot cheaper. and prices are coming down, which is good. I think this is what the U.S. consumer needs. We need a little bit of relief, I guess, depending on where you are in the country. Some things are coming down faster than others, let's just say that. But this was a really interesting statistic, and I'm not even sure if it's true. Look, it's probably true, but I believe my perception of things are so skewed because I'm a New Yorker, right? In New York City, everything is so expensive, right? In Miami, things are arguably more expensive. So I'll read this, and I want to know what you guys think. So the average cost to feed 10 people this Thanksgiving, right, according to the data, is going to be $61.17 to feed 10 people. That's down 4.5% from an all-time record high last year of $64.05. Now, I don't know about you guys. Is that true? Can you feed 10 people with $61 at a Thanksgiving dinner? I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know how they calculate it, but I mean, maybe, again, I have an open mind. Maybe I just have a little bit of a skewed perception of reality. But is that realistic or not realistic, in your opinion? And I'm willing to listen to anybody in the chat. Joe C says maybe you could feed 4 people with that. Lena Sandoval says no. Deborah J says no. Jafet Perez is more like one person for $17. Abyss says it really depends on what's being served. F. Rivera says as long as you can deal on turkey, the sides are cheap. Yeah, but I mean, like, how much would you say just one turkey costs, right? Because, I don't know, I feel as if I could eat like a half a turkey myself. I mean, not literally, but you kind of get the point, right? But I mean, 10 people is a lot of people. And to have that claim of $61, I don't know. I mean, I had to do a double take. I rewound the call, but I was like, I don't know about that. Who knows? Maybe they're just accounting for the portions to be like ridiculously small. Lemonade says, I don't think so. Someone says, wouldn't the turkey be right around $40? I don't know. I mean, look, I'm envisioning a Thanksgiving of 10 people, right, with at least 2 turkeys on the table, right, to feed 10 individuals. Sides, maybe you have a couple pies out there. I don't know. I mean, again, I totally understand I may have a skewed perception of reality, because guess what? Oftentimes, I'll buy like a Junior's cheesecake or something, right? Bring it to my mom's place. Or maybe I'll get, some pastries from like Koreatown or Little Italy. That's $60. But probably what they're factoring in is not all like the fancy pastries. It's probably turkey and maybe stuffing. I don't know, but I just thought it was weird. When I was listening to it, I'm like, I think this would be an interesting thing to ask while we're doing the live stream, to see if anybody could potentially think it's feasible to feed a family of 10 or 10 people on Thanksgiving for $60. I don't know, it just doesn't, it's probably doable, right? But it's probably not going to be a lot of food. I don't know. Who knows? iPadilla says if you buy at Whole Foods, it's like $60 for one person. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some like organic turkey at Whole Foods that they sell the one turkey for like $45, right? Who knows? Anyway, not to sort of hammer on the topic, but I'm just like, I don't know. And that's why many people, many economists, and even many Americans are sort of taking these CPI numbers with a grain of salt, right? Because the calculations kind of fail to reflect the realities of the everyday American. And I understand that, and I get that. And that's why one of the things that we've been advocating for, this is Gold Street, by the way, Gold in Fulton. You're about to see an amazing shot of the World Trade Center. This is one of my favorite views in the entire city, actually, right here. This is like the iconic shot looking down Fulton Street with the World Trade Center in the distance. Stunning. And then if you look a little bit further, you have 130 William, which is one of my favorite new developments in the city. But one of the things I was saying, and we've been talking about this ad nauseum on the stream, is I think people should calculate their personal inflation rates, right? So go through, do a budget, right? Write down what you spent for rent this year, right, or this month. Write down what you spent for your utilities, what you spent for food, you know, eating out with friends, transportation too, right? How much you spent on gas or a Metro card or whatnot, or flying. And then you should keep that in an Excel spreadsheet, and every year you should update it so you have your own CPI numbers. And let me tell you, in some categories, my personal inflation rate is over 100%. Quite literally, it's gone up 100% in some things. Maybe even more, right? Think about over the last 2 years, some people's rent has probably gone up 20% alone. Insurance costs, if you're a homeowner, right? For property insurance, hurricane insurance, has probably gone up at least 20 to 30%. So is the headline number of CPI that in general, the headline number going up 3.3%, is that really reflective of the average American? In all fairness, I'd say no. But these are the data we use to kind of forecast what the Federal Reserve is going to do. I don't know. Am I off base there? Do we have any agreements, disagreements? I just try to, and again, it's all relative based upon where you live, because the US is a huge country, right? It's a big country. I mean, in some parts of the United States, you could rent a single family house for $1,500 to $2,000. In New York City, that'll get you a room in an apartment, right? So, anyway. Oh, nice. Jonathan's is my traditional Thanksgiving meals at a local diner. Ain't nothing wrong with that. All right, everybody, we are now at 130 William. This is the courtyard that they built. I love the architecture here. It's stunning. The best thing about 130 William are these windows right here. Look at that. They extend all the way up, and you have unobstructed views of the World Trade Center, the Brooklyn Bridge, the Manhattan Bridge, all of downtown Brooklyn. It's a really stunning development, and it's over, I think, 95% sold out. It's an amazing place. And my good friend Hawaii, she's probably in the chat here somewhere, this is her favorite building. Oh, there she is. What's up, Hawaii? I'm just checking out your spot, your future spot. Patricia Johnson is here. What's up? It's good to see you. Colton Manning says, Tom, I was just thinking about 130 William earlier today. Alan S says, we usually don't have turkey for Thanksgiving, so I'm unsure how many people have standard sized turkey or what a standard sized turkey costs. Yeah, some people have duck. Chicken is good too, and chicken is cheap. That's true. Yeah, Janice S says there's probably no frills with very simple foods and such. That's probably how they're calculating it, you're right. All right, we'll do one lap around the courtyard. Maybe next year we'll get like a resale listing in here. That'd be amazing. I love this building. It's unlike any other development in the neighborhood. Last I heard, there's going to be a coffee shop in this retail. So imagine just walking out your door and you have a good coffee shop. Hopefully it'll be like an artisan coffee shop here. Patricia says, I had a friend who lived on William, a five-floor building before 9/11. Wow. I mean, in 2001 to now, things have changed so much down here. I mean, just, you know, think about where we just were, the South Street Seaport. None of that was there. I actually went to dinner tonight had a really nice restaurant at the Seaport. I don't even know what it was called, but it was really nice. Expensive though, it was nice. All right, let's head towards the Federal Reserve, and let's check out the New York Stock Exchange tonight. Since we're in Lower Manhattan, might as well. But for those of you in the chat who usually host Thanksgiving, right? I'm sure, you know, if you have a large family, each side of the family takes turns hosting every year. At least that's how it usually was for me, right? You know, we would have one family do the dessert, we would go to their house and then back and forth. How much would you say that costs you, like the overhead, to put on the whole meal? Just because I want to see an average discrepancy or what the delta is over the number that Walmart is reporting. Like, what would you say if you're hosting, you're having your family, your extended family coming over, right around 10 people? What do you think that usually runs you, like realistically, as we're coming up here on the Federal Reserve, who is responsible for creating all the inflation that we've suffered? So we'll go pay homage to them, I guess. I think this is one of those very upscale marijuana shops. Efraveris is about $300.
I know where everyone is.
That seems fair. $300 with desserts and drinks. Melts is it's about $200 to $300 for me. Wow, Sergio's is less than $50. Interesting. Yeah, that's fair. Maybe it can be done. John Cook's is $500 if you really want to do it right. Someone says $200 for the meal. It's the chips and the snacks and the extras that cost the most. I would probably agree with that because I'm a big Italian desserts guy, and I buy a lot of Italian desserts for the holidays, both Thanksgiving and Christmas. And that alone comes out to way over $60, just in and of itself. Mark Francis is $120, but I buy oysters, seafood, and turkey. All right, so we're about, I would say, maybe 100% over, 200% over the statistic that they're throwing out to mainstream America. Now again, maybe that is skewed a little bit because the majority of the audience lives on the East Coast and the West Coast, particularly in New York and California, but you know, we'll see. Okay, now this is the Federal Reserve. We were walking past this just this morning. You can see the Federal Reserve police officers outside. Hill says 150 tops. Oh, cool. Lance says I will be there tomorrow night for dinner in Wall Street's Harris Steakhouse. I've never been. Let me know how it is. Please give us an update. I had a steak today. I ordered a steak at the Seaport. It was expensive, but I didn't eat anything all day. So I'm like, might as well order a steak. This will be a fun guessing game. Guess how much just the steak was at the restaurant that I went to at South Street Seaport. So there you see the Federal Reserve police. Now about 2 stories down is the vast majority of the world's gold. $85? No, not that expensive. Wasn't that expensive. No, not $125. It was a New York strip steak, but some of the guesses are close. Hawaii at $75, Patricia Johnson at $50. I think it was $68 for a New York strip steak. But I get it. I mean, restaurants need to make money, right? It was good. I mean, the atmosphere was amazing. The views of the Brooklyn Bridge were just unbelievably stunning. You know what, Hawaii, it may have been the place that you went to, actually. I think it was. It was all the way around the back of the seaport, and all of the tables were facing the Brooklyn Bridge. Nice place. Expensive, but very nice place. I had a good time. I had a really good time. Hey, Papa Smurf OG. Good to see you. The FDNY is in the building. So good evening, Tom. I hope you're keeping safe, my friend. $69 strip steak, well worth it. It was definitely something. Oh, you know what? Speaking of the FDNY, I was hoping you would join tonight. Guys, breaking news in New York City. I think this is important to talk about because we've been forecasting this for a long time now as we stand outside of the Federal Reserve. Guys, due to the migrant crisis that we've been covering extensively and following extensively, we've officially started the first round of budget cuts in New York City, which includes slashing funding to the public education system, which is a travesty, slashing funding for the New York Public Library, and last but not least, they're slashing funding for the NYPD, where now there will be under 40,000 police officers, or I think under 30,000 police officers for the first time since the 1990s. So, look, as we've I won't go on the big tangent or tirade like I did the other night, but I think people are starting to finally figure out that things aren't just free, and you can't just say happy-go-lucky, lovey-dovey things all the time. You have to, live in reality. This isn't the first cut. The mayor came on the news conference today and said that if this crisis persists, right, since New York City is a sanctuary city, we have to take these people, which essentially means we have to spend. There's going to be 5% cut increments from here on out to everything. So my question is the FDNY, because I wasn't able to watch the entire thing, is the FDNY taking any of that hit with funding, or was it exclusively for the NYPD? I think they're gonna have to lay off, over 5,000 officers, which is crazy. Gene says that's shameful, cuts to the school, library, and police. It's the most shameful to cut funding for the public education system and the library. Those are like what we should be funneling the majority of our attention to. It's sad. I mean, the New York Public Library system is, in my opinion, the best arbitrage you could do in your life. If you're a New Yorker and you don't have a lot of money, you can make a fortune in there, okay? Relative fortune, right? You can get yourself back on your feet, educate yourself, get a really good job, and you could build skills for free at the New York Public Library. The problem is not a lot of people know about all of the great resources that the New York Public Library system has to offer. And I can't, sing its praises enough. It's an amazing system. The problem is there's no marketing, right? If I was the mayor, I would actually create a marketing budget for the New York Public Library and run targeted Facebook and TikTok advertising to young people, telling them about all the great resources, telling them about the Bloomberg terminals, telling them about the free financial education courses that are put on by volunteers at the New York Public Library. I was actually thinking about volunteering and running some sort of a free course, right? Just basic financial education course. I would totally do that. But again, you could have the best resources in the world. If nobody knows about it, nobody's going to use it. So, guys, what are they building in here? Look at this. Hey, Charles Boyce. Wow, thank you so much for your very generous $50 donation. You are very, very kind. And thank you for supporting the stream. I appreciate your support, and I thank you for watching. Once again, Charles Boyce, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Kristen S. says those poor teachers and protective services are going to have to do more with even less. Yeah. It's not an easy job being a teacher, particularly in the New York City public education system, right? It is not an easy job, okay? Yeah, it's unfortunate, right? It's unfortunate.
Like, what is this?
All right, let me catch up on some of the comments here. Roscoe says, my school days I lived in the library. NMB45 says, there are powerful forces out there that unfortunately want to undermine education. Jay says, unfortunately, too many think everything should be a free ride and that you could just pay more in taxes just to cover it. Look, at this point, you know, the writing on the wall, and I don't want to get too political because I do respect the wishes of the audience. This isn't really a political stream. But, you know, if you continue to see budget cuts, right, and a degradation in the services that are provided to the public, the government is going to look for somewhere else to raise the funds, and that's going to mean increasing taxes even more than they are. People are going to leave, and that's my worry. Because I have no problem at all paying high taxes. I really don't. I think the younger generations do not have an issue at all with paying higher taxes. But I believe in no taxation without representation. So if I'm just going to pay more and more and more to funnel, you know, money into nothing, right, just so we can, you know, pay for tents to give to people to sleep on the street, that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and people are going to leave. So I think things are going to change in a big way, and you know, that's really all I'll say. But I think the writing on the wall is there because the how do I say this? The solution is not to raise taxes because we have a problem that is very easily fixed by just securing and protecting our southern border and not lying to people from other countries when we say, hey, if you come here, you're entitled to free housing, free education, we're going to give you, you know, EBT cards, and it's all going to be free and you're going to have a great life. If we stop lying to people, then the problem is solved, right? We can't do that because money doesn't grow on trees, and we don't have the inventory for that in New York. We don't even have the space to put these people. So yeah, essentially money is going down a big money pit. Anyway, Joseph Hardaway says, agreed. People get fed up. We're human. All right, guys, this is the New York Stock Exchange. Beautiful building, absolutely stunning. I absolutely love it. Hey, Gabriel is here. What's up? Good to see you. The Papa Smurf OG says, exactly, Tom. Enough with the lying to the taxpayers. Yeah, and I think, honestly, FDNY, Papa Smurf OG, we need to stop lying, more importantly, to these migrants. I was watching some interviews, and they're like, dude, everything that we were promised was not delivered. We're sleeping on the street. Now, on one hand, some people would say, you know, they're not entitled to anything, yada, yada, which I get, and I generally agree. But put yourself in their shoes, right? If you're halfway across the world and somebody is telling you they're going to give you free stuff and you have no stuff, you're going to go to the free stuff. I mean, I would, right? I mean, any rational, normal, like functioning brain would say, wow, if I'm in a country where I'm very oppressed, there's war, there's crime, there's no opportunity, but this country, right, I'm watching on YouTube, all the politicians are like, come to New York City, we'll give you free housing. We're gonna put you up in a nice hotel on Madison Avenue, and we're gonna give you free food, and we're gonna put your kids in the public education system. I would walk 3,000 miles for that, so people have. But when they get here, we've provided them nothing like that, because it's impossible to do that, because this is normal life. This isn't cartoon land. So, yeah, I actually am in the camp that this is not the migrants' fault at all. This is a self-inflicted wound by our American politicians, both at the federal and local level. This is not the migrants' fault. We've just basically promised them something that we can't deliver on. Right? Any rational person would come. Anyway, guys, this building we're looking at now, right here, is One Wall Street. And this is the largest office to condominium conversion in New York City's history, right here. Now this building, this project was put on by Harry Macklow, right? The same person who did 432 Park Avenue with the CIM group. Now some of the studios in this building, you could actually see some of the lights on. Imagine having a studio or a one-bedroom apartment and your view is looking directly into the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. That's kind of unbelievable. Now the building is having trouble selling, but the units that have sold are the units that have views inside the exchange, most of them. There's about 560 units in the building, which is an incredible, that's huge. It's a massive building, and they've made it ultra luxury, right? The kitchens and the finishes and the fixtures that are in 432 Park Avenue are in every single unit at One Wall Street. But here's the problem. When you're dealing with luxury and high-end real estate, people want exclusivity. People want to know that they're buying something exclusive, a one of one. One Wall Street, there's 580 units. That's too much supply. So the units aren't moving. Also, Lower Manhattan that we're walking in now, even though I love it, it has the highest vacancy in all of the city in terms of commercial office space. So if people don't work here, people aren't going to live here. So I think the sales team there at One Wall Street really needs to hammer on the fact of the future. Don't talk about data. This guy is riding his car in the bike lane. Don't talk about data now. Talk about what the neighborhood could be in the future, right? Which I think should include the South Street Seaport and the Tin Building and all the great things that are going on down there. Kevin Grant says the Happy Index shows countries that pay the most taxes are much happier. Then why don't you move there? I think you'll be much happier. Those statistics are very skewed, mainly because of the, I don't know. Usually when people say things like this gets you canceled, but those countries tend to be very homogenous societies, right? And it's hard to replicate systems and procedures in countries that are very, very diverse. It's easier to do that in smaller countries with much smaller GDPs and, a homogenous society. It's not going to work in a big country like the US. It's just not, not going to happen. So this is the front door of One Wall Street. Now, at the very top, there's a saltwater pool, which is amazing here. And they also have a private restaurant, too. But I just think that it's a little bit too big. I think that's why it's not selling too well. So this is the very famous and beautiful Trinity Church right here at the very end of Wall Street. And if we turn the camera a little bit further up, you see the beautiful One World Trade Center, which looks fantastic, which I believe it's lit up in green. So the Empire State Building, One Vanderbilt, World Trade Center, there's one other building, Chrysler Building, is all lit up in green tonight for awareness of New York City youth homelessness. So that is why it is lit up. And right in the lobby of One Wall Street, you have a Whole Foods, which I think is a great tenant in a luxury building. So let's walk down Broadway and see the Mighty Bull. Felix says, Tom, what's the smallest apartment at One Wall Street? Well, I've actually previewed the building. I do like the building, but again, like I said, it's not, in my view, the prices need to adjust. I think studios start at 1.3. I mean, that is a tough sell in this environment. A studio at 1.3, I mean, it was beautiful, right? Don't get me wrong, but a studio apartment for 1.3, I don't know. I mean, the amenities are amazing. You got to tour the building. You really have to tour the building, but I believe it's 90% vacant. Yeah, but that's the main selling point, right? I respect Harry Macklowe a lot. I think he's extremely talented. I mean, what he did with 432 Park Avenue is amazing. It's an iconic building, but when you try to recreate that same experience in a massive building like that, you know, over 500 apartments, that's going to be a tough sell to luxury buyers because it's not a bespoke product. It's not a one of one. It's not unique. There's no scarcity there. You need to kind of create urgency in the buy, right? So if you think about those type of buildings, 432 Park Avenue, Central Park Tower, Steinway Tower, 220 Central Park South, 157, right? All of the main buildings on Billionaires Row, there's limited supply and they're iconic buildings. Everybody knows about them. Everybody talks about them. I feel as if I wasn't telling you guys about One Wall Street, many of you probably wouldn't have even known it existed, right? I mean, if I'm being honest, but look, it's a great building. I just think it's a little bit, it's priced too high, I think. All right, guys, here we are, the Mighty Bull. Look at this, stunning. Right on Broadway, it's fantastic. Andy says, Tom, speaking of immigration, is this Eric Adams situation with Turkey for real, or is it just overblown market? Hold on, let me go to that. What is the situation with Turkey? I don't know. Maybe I've missed that. What is the situation with Eric Adams in Turkey? Hey, hang with Mark Mom. What's up? Good to see you. Says, hey, Tom, mods in chat. Love the new logo. Good to see you, and thank you. Yeah. So by the way, we have a new Walks on Wall Street logo, and, oh, look at this. Ooh, that was close. The bus almost clipped this guy. And a new Behind the Street newsletter logo as well. Standing on this rock, you could see all the way to the Chrysler building. So that little tiny triangle in the distance is the spire of the Chrysler building. Very, very nice. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We usually do these live streams starting at 8:30 p.m. and we do them every single day. The pastry says they're saying that he got campaign money from Turkey. Well, I didn't hear about that. I know he was being investigated by the FBI. I think they've raided his office, didn't they? Wow, Brad's Brain says, Tom, you didn't take my vote yesterday. Chrysler Building over the Empire State Building all day. I mean, I do like the building. I just don't know. I think the Empire is just too iconic, but I do love the Empire. Wow, I respect it, Brad. I used to go to this Planet Fitness when I used to work down here. Now, what I'm more concerned about is just the horrible fiscal situation we have going on in New York City, right? I think we need to get our priorities in order, right? Is it possible that Eric Adams did something corrupt and wrong? Yeah. Do I think it should take first priority right now? No, I don't. I don't think there should be an investigation into it right now, even if he did something nefarious with the campaign funds, because we have a major crisis that's going on in New York City with the migrants that are costing us billions, and all of the kids in the educational system are going to suffer, right? And there's a huge portion, this is what a lot of people don't understand, there's a huge portion of kids in the New York City public school system that are very, very poor. They live in poverty and they don't have access to great education. And these are American people, right? These are Americans, American New Yorkers, that are now going to get a cut to their education funding, that are now going to get cut to their local libraries, which, by the way, local libraries in New York City, for a lot of poor students and poor kids, is the only way they could have internet access. So that's sort of what I'm more concerned about. You know, again, the Empire State Building tonight is lit up for New York City homeless youth awareness, right? I mean, I would much rather provide the New York City homeless youth. I mean, think about that. New York City homeless youth. Homeless children that are in the New York City public education system are sleeping on the streets and homeless. And, you know, we got to take care of our own first, right? Charity starts at home. So, I mean, put on, you know, a social program where you increase my taxes to take care of the homeless children of New York City first, you know, before we promise anybody else something. You know, you kind of have to have your deck in order, your house in order before you could help other people. And I get it. And I'm not trying to be asympathetic here, but I mean, this has turned into a big conundrum. And they're going to continue to cut services. Next is going to be the MTA. Then they're going to cut the NYPD more. And if you look at the data, when they cut funding for the NYPD, it doesn't affect the multimillionaires that live in New York City because they live in very wealthy neighborhoods in New York City. You know, is it going to affect the people that are living on Billionaires Row? Of course not. It's going to affect the people that live in the boroughs, right, that pay the average rents or the below average rents. That's where the crime is going to go up. It's not going to go up on Park Avenue. It's not going to go up on Billionaires Row. So these cuts don't hurt the wealthy. They hurt the middle class the most, and that is not right. It's not right. But unfortunately, that's what's happening. But I'm not trying to dump on Eric Adams, right? I actually don't think this is all his fault. Oh, this is a Tesla Model X. Like the color scheme. But in reality, you know, the mayor's taking a lot of heat. I don't think he deserves all the heat, actually, and I'm going to be honest. He's the mayor of New York City. He is not the president of the United States. His job is to deal with the situation in New York City. His job is not to police the southern border. That's the federal government's job. So if you just have wave after wave of people coming in, right, and they're all being shipped to Mayor Eric Adams' city, well, he has to help those people. He has to do the best he can to accommodate those people. So it's really not his issue. It's a federal government issue that needs to protect the borders of the United States. So you're just starting to see the tip of the fiscal cliff, kind of, right? We just got cuts to the NYPD, library, and education, and those are probably the last three things that should have been cut. Because again, if you want to compete on a world stage, if you think about the majority of GDP growth, if you think about the majority of job growth, that's going to help the majority of people move up the socioeconomic status. That's going to require us as a country, but not only as a country, but a city, to double down and triple down on education, right? Not cut education. We should be putting more money and funneling and dumping kerosene on the fire of education to, you know, be leaders in STEM, right? It should just be New York City should be STEM, 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 everything. Just inundate these kids with STEM, not reduce the library hours. But I don't know. All right, we are walking down Broad Street now. And let's come up on the other side of the New York Stock Exchange. And this right here is where the Christmas tree is going to be located. And guys, you know what? I'm going to say something controversial. I say it every year. I believe the Christmas tree that's outside of the New York Stock Exchange is better looking than the one at Rockefeller Center. Now, it's not here yet. But when we do have it here, we will come down here and do a live stream again. That is for sure. Jen Claus says why. I'll have to show you. It's not really I can't really describe it. But for anybody who's been a subscriber of Walks from Wall Street since last year, I think you guys really enjoyed that Christmas tree right outside of the New York Stock Exchange. For whatever reason, it just seems more full. It's like a more full tree. I don't know. And so all of the ornaments, which are really cool, have the New York Stock Exchange logo on them. We'll check it out. I'm not too sure when that's going to be up. I mean, I'm assuming it's probably going to be up in the next couple weeks. Thanksgiving's next week, a week from today. That's insanity. But anyway. All right, let me catch up on some of the chats. That's our good friend, the Fearless Girl here. Amazing. Yeah, Brad's Brains is New York being affected is more visible and impactful than El Paso. Yeah, because you're gonna, I think we've beat the topic like a dead horse, but look, it's all, it feels good to say these things, right? You don't feel good saying, no, we don't want the migrants to come here. That feels like really mean and that feels like really cringy to say, and it does. But that's like being intellectually honest, because we don't have the capability to house these people. If we did, I'd say, sure, come one, come all, but have a systematic way to bring people seeking asylum into the country. It can't be chaotic. It has to be in a systematic process, because guess what? Then you're just going to have these people sleeping on the street, and when people are sleeping on the street, they're vulnerable to crime and organized crime. That's why, there's actually a big investigation being done now, particularly in Queens, where a lot of these gangs are using these migrants as like sex slaves, which is just so just putrid. It's just so sick. But they have to turn to that, or else guess what? Their kids are going to starve. So it just exacerbates the problem. It's really, really bad. All right, this is Federal Hall, another stunning building in New York City that is unfortunately going to be totally covered in scaffolding for the next 10 years. Now, it's an old building. It's one of my favorite buildings in the city, mainly because George Washington was inaugurated right here on the steps of the building, right? The first president of the greatest country on earth, the United States of America. I used to eat lunch right on the steps here. Maybe I'll be able to have the pleasure of doing that again in about 10 years once they do their necessary repairs. We'll see. And this is the main entrance to the New York Stock Exchange. This used to be open to the public, no longer after 9/11. But just a quick thank you to Envela Corporation. They invited me to the closing bell ceremony last February, which was the best experience probably of my working professional life. Unbelievable, okay? If you ever have the opportunity to go to the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, tour the entire building, and attend a opening bell or a closing bell ceremony, you got to do it. It's just fantastic. It's an amazing experience. So thank you to Envela. They trade under the ticker symbol ELA. Yeah, Juan Fernandez's 10 years seems a little bit ridiculous. It does, but I was reading into it and I kind of see why now. Because the building is so old, right? I just said it was where George Washington was inaugurated, so they had to hire a special firm to do the restoration. Like, it has to be a special firm that deals with this type of stone, brick and mortar, whatever. I'd rather have them do it the right way than, do a botched job, right? This is probably one of the most iconic and important pieces of American history. So, if we're going to spend the money to do it, I guess you better do it right. Yeah, let's see if there's any more info. Yeah, if you just go to www.nps.gov, Maybe they'll tell you a little bit about it. It's the National Park Service, U.S. Department of the Interior. I didn't even know that was a thing. Did I take you guys by Deutsche Bank? I don't think I did. We'll go by the old Deutsche Bank and then we'll head up. But you know, one of the things about Wall Street that a lot of people don't know about, there's really almost no financial activity that happens down here anymore, right? The New York Stock Exchange, even though it's an amazing place, it mainly is a historical site and it acts as a TV studio for CNBC. And now there is trading activity, there is market making that happens at the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, but a fraction of what it was, right? Due to computers, due to the internet, algorithmic trading, quantitative trading, and the like. And the last standing bulge bracket investment bank that was on the physical street of Wall Street, as this guy zooms down here on the Vespa, that's probably illegal, is Deutsche Bank. But they have now moved to 59th Street, Columbus Circle at the Deutsche Bank Tower. So 60 Wall Street is now vacant, and I believe it is going to be converted into condominiums. So a lot of these buildings that you see to your right and to your left are actually condo conversions that were at one point old broker dealers or banks, which kind of makes it a nice historical place to live. You have South Street Seaport, you have Stone Street, and the further west you go, you do have some banks still on West Street, 200 West Street, Goldman Sachs. I think RBC Capital Markets may be over there, as well as BNY Mellon. But on the physical street of Wall Street, not too much. Jeez. What was that? Guys, check this out. It looks like there's some major event going on. Like a red carpet event or something? You can see the coat check all the way over there. It looks nice. Hey, Patricia's is a nurse I worked with. Her husband worked at Deutsche Bank. She waited 4 days before she heard from him. Oh, are you talking about maybe 9/11? Interesting. This is the Bank of New York building. Did you guys see that teeny dog that they dressed up there? Look at that thing. I think that's a pug. Right, is that a pug? That thing is adorable. Oh, it's a French bulldog. That thing is so adorable. Ah, Frenchie, Hermes addict. Rachel Case, Tom, are you a dog lover? I am. I'm more of a beagle type person. I really like beagles, yellow labs. But that dog was adorable. Maybe we'll go back for a second pass. But guys, this is 60 Wall Street. You can still see some of the lettering that they've taken off. This used to be Deutsche Bank. So you can see now under construction. They've totally ripped everything down to its core. I think this is going to be a condo conversion here. But when I worked down here, this was Deutsche Bank. And it was very, very busy. Very, very busy. My old office is just here off to the left. Now, it's not an office anymore. It's actually the Wall Street Hotel. And it looks like they did an amazing job. They did a really, really good job. You'll be able to see it. They have a bar and a restaurant inside the lobby, and they did a really, I would say they did a really good job with keeping the integrity of the architecture and the vibe with the old style Wall Street, right? And you'll kind of see what I mean as we approach the building right on the corner here. So this is the building. You can kind of see inside. It's a very, very nice, this is the bar, but it extends all the way to the lobby. On the other side, that's where the bartenders are and everything. And then this is the outer facade. So it's now a complete hotel. Has anybody ever stayed here before? I'll give you a little bit of a closer look. I just really like the vibe. The ceiling looks really nice too. But here is where the Buttonwood agreement is. But I think the internet's no good. I remember we buffered here one time. So this is the exact location where the Buttonwood agreement was signed, which is cool. See the bar there. And it looks like a full house, tons of people, it's packed. Yeah, I used to walk right in here, and now it's a hotel. It's kind of strange to see it as a hotel, but it's way better than what it used to look, I can tell you that. And it looks like business is booming. It looks like they're doing really good business here. There's not a table that's empty, which is great. Love to see it. This is sort of the main check-in lobby here, which is really nice. And you could tell they've kept it like the original Wall Street older feel. Looks like an older hotel, right? It's not a very modern, like Park Hyatt hotel that's on Billionaires Row. They did a very good job of keeping it in tune with the neighborhood. And here's the restaurant in the back. I think this is like an oyster bar type restaurant. Really nice seating, really nice dining room. What do you guys think? I think they did a good job. We'll check out some of the prices. It's kind of like an oyster bar. It's actually not too bad. Kevin Grant says, Tom, are you talking about asylum seekers or migrants or immigrants? We were talking about the Wall Street Hotel, but I guess before I was talking about both. Yeah, NNB 45 says prices don't look too bad for an oyster bar, and particularly in a nice hotel. Usually in a hotel it's extremely expensive. But I do want to point out this building right here. Now, as we've been saying, a lot of these older style office buildings, particularly in Lower Manhattan, Lower Manhattan has the highest vacancy of anywhere in the city. for office. So one of the things that they've been trying to do, like many of these offices down here, these are all vacant. Like this whole building is totally vacant. There's not one tenant in it. Same with the AIG building. This used to be an office. They tore it down and they built this hotel, which actually looks really good. Right next to the Wall Street Hotel. But this also used to be an office. And now these are luxury condominiums. This is 95 Wall Street. Now, let me know what you guys think. Doesn't this look like an office building? They did a complete remodel on the inside. But to me, I just think the taste of the outside is too much like I'm going to work. I don't think I could ever live in here because it quite literally looks like an office building. Like if you look at this, you're like, yeah, this is an office. But the inside is luxury condos. They're nice, right? Don't get me wrong. They are nice on the inside, but the layouts are too boxy. It almost feels as if you're walking into a cubicle. The finishes are nice. You know, it has all the amenities you would need, but it just looked too much like an office a little bit, I guess. But at least they're doing something to build more inventory. This, I believe, is 5 Hanover Square. Here, I'll quickly show you the lobby. Isn't that a cool lobby, though? Really nice chandelier. Everything is modern, everything is new. I just think the facade is a little bit too office-ish. And this one obviously looks like an office building too, but this is a condo conversion. These are all condominiums. I believe the address is 5 Hanover Square. We'll check it out. Yeah, someone says I just missed all the rain in Miami. I know, crazy. Now, apparently it wasn't even a tropical storm. But there was massive, massive amounts of flooding there. Now, this is Water Street, where we just turned on, everybody. And this is 77 Water, which also used to be one of my old offices. The AT&T headquarters used to be right here. I don't think they're here anymore. We'll check it out, we'll see. Doesn't look like it. There used to be a big AT&T logo there. It looks the same though. Sorry about that. This is 10 Hanover Square. 10 Hanover Square. And you guys see what I'm talking about? You can see people's apartments, but it very, very clearly, it's obvious that this was once an office building. Yeah, Allen's is wow, 495 square feet and $3,200 a month at 95 Wall Street. Yeah, they're luxury condos. Yep. You are correct. Now the roof deck is insane in there. Really, really nice. But again, like if I was gonna pay $3,200 a month, right, for less than 500 square feet, it would not be in Lower Manhattan. And it definitely would not be at 95 Wall Street in an old office building. I'm more of a Central Park South kind of guy, maybe an Upper West Side. I'd pay that for that type of stuff, but not in an old office building. I don't know, I'm not being picky, but if I had the choice, I would definitely much prefer a Central Park South if I'm gonna pay $3,200 a month for less than 500 square feet. Agree, disagree? What do you guys think? Would you live in 95 Wall Street or 10 Hanover Square here? Don't get me wrong, they're nice apartments. They're very gorgeous on the inside, but I don't know, a place to call home, it may be too, it just doesn't feel like home. It feels like I'm walking into an office a little bit. Let's check out Stone Street. I think that'll be fun. Might as well. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. This is the lobby. We do these streams every day starting at 8:30, walking around the city, talking about the financial markets and New York City real estate. If you like the topics we talk about here on the stream, then feel free to scan the QR code on your screen, and that will drop the link to our Behind the Street newsletter, which is our free financial newsletter that we send out every other Thursday. But this Thursday, we will not be sending it out because it is Thanksgiving. So if you're looking for the newsletter, just know that it will be sent out Friday as opposed to Thursday, because I think it's more important to spend some time with your family and your friends. Or you could type !news, NEWS in the chat. A little bit of road rage. NEWS in the chat, and it will drop the Nightbot link to our Substack, and we publish every other Thursday, and you can receive all of our market research for free. But for now, let's check out Stone Street. This is an amazing place. You'll notice a lot of the Belgian block streets. There's a lot of nice restaurants and bars. I think this is one to the left, but it's a cool street. Now, in the summer, they usually have all types of tables and chairs out in the middle of Stone Street. Positives is always something random during the live streams. I loved it when we saw Kevin Bacon. Oh yeah, we walked past Kevin Bacon one night. I didn't even know it was him until a little bit while after. Someone says, having a swimming pool, gym, spa, and steam room in the building is great. It is great. Don't get me wrong, it's a nice building. Trust me, I've been in it many, many times, and I have some friends who live there. It's an amazing one. NMB45 says, let me go back to your comments. It says, just living anywhere in Lower Manhattan sounds cool because it looks quite quiet, especially after 5 o'clock. After 5 p.m., this place is dead. Now, not Stone Street, because this is where all the bars are, which is a great place. Ulysses. It looks like they have a live band going on in there. The place looks fun. I love the facade of this building. 57 Stone Street with that red outer trim. That looks really nice. Hey, Rex A, what's up? Good to see you, Rex. Hey.
Are you live streaming?
Sorry?
Are you live streaming?
Oh yeah, we're streaming. Just walking around Stone Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Long Island.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you here every day?
Not here, in other parts of the city, like
Okay.
Uptown, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Walks
Is
in
it
Wall
on
Street.
Instagram?
No, we do it on YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah. But yeah, well, have a good one. Take care. All right, let's head to Battery Park, or Battery Park South. We were there earlier today, and I think it has some of the best sunsets anywhere in New York City. Now, if you go to my Twitter, @WalksWallStreet, on X, I guess what it's called now, you could see an incredible sunset from Battery Park. SoCal Lawrence, what's up? Good to see you. I think there used to be a WeWork location in here. I've never worked out of this one, but we've done some streams out of the one at 110 Wall Street. And 110 Wall Street actually, was one of my first ever clients. It was an advertising company called Droga 5. I'm not sure if anybody's heard of Droga 5. They do business. They do a lot of big business with some pretty big brands. But that was one of my first customers ever. And I think they're still there to this day. They're a very, very big advertising agency. I know, Sham says, WeWork, what a disaster. You know, we wrote about that on Thursday in the newsletter because, I think this is going to be a bigger hit to commercial real estate than many people think or really understand, in my view, for the following reasons. WeWork, a lot of these commercial landlords have been getting very, very desperate. Well, let me just check my battery. A lot of these commercial operators have been getting very desperate, right? And WeWork has been leasing millions of square feet of commercial office space, right? Literally millions of square feet. Now the problem with that is these commercial operators took in WeWork in many deals as their anchor tenant. Now an anchor tenant is pretty much as it states, right? It's like your breadwinner, right? The main anchor to your big building or commercial business, right? Now with WeWork going bankrupt, filing Chapter 11, we're going to cross by Marketplace. Actually, since we have the light, we'll cross here. This means there's a lot of landlords that are going to get stiffed on their rent. Now, not all of them. What's probably going to happen during the restructuring is they're going to negotiate significantly lower rents and also probably just cut, leases altogether. But it's going to be a big problem, I think. Speaking of vacancy, this used to be JP Morgan Chase, I believe, and I think they closed down their operations here. And this is right outside of the Seaport, South Street Seaport. Hey, Michael Welsh, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Didn't you buy a place in Bermuda? Or something in the Bahamas? Or Puerto Rico, was it? It was Puerto Rico. That's awesome, dude. I love it. I love the warm weather. Someone says, did I go to Wharton? Ha! No. I am not Wharton material. I could definitely not get into Wharton. Oh, you're right. JP Morgan, it was either this one or that one. They're taking one of them down, but I think you're right. Who was that said JP Morgan's on the left? 456, I believe you're right. It was either this one or that one. I don't know. We'll walk around, we'll explore it. Now, speaking of office to residential conversions, this guy is going to be a big office to residential conversion. But it's probably going to be luxury units. It's probably not going to be affordable. Walking down here, it's kind of a shame that a lot of these offices are vacant because it's a cool place. It's just not really fashionable anymore. You could even see in here, like there's a lot of vacancies too. But everybody, look at the contrast between the original buildings here. I mean, those are really, really stunning. Don't you think? Elliott Wave Review says, Tom, do you think it's only in New York City that WeWork bankruptcy will cause problems in? Well, first and foremost, in a Chapter 11, the company is probably going to still exist. It's just going to be at much, much smaller scale, right? Now, to your point, I would say yes. I would say probably cities like New York, maybe Dallas. I mean, where does WeWork have the largest footprint? I would say New York by far. I mean, I was a customer, right? So after I wrote that piece in the Behind the Street newsletter, sort of detailing, and kind of knocking WeWork, I got a lot of emails, of people like, it's easy to kick a company when it's down. Hey, I'm not trying to kick it when it's down. I've spent thousands of dollars on WeWork, okay? I think it's a great product. So I'm not trying to say this in like a ha-ha malicious way. That's not the vibe at all, trust me. I spent thousands renting from WeWork, and I think it's a great concept, but it was just ran very poorly. And unfortunately, as we've talked about, when you have artificially suppressed interest rates for so long, it allows, let's just say, not the best financial housekeeping to be put in place for longer durations of time than they should. So when comes time to pay the piper, it's unfortunately kind of have to. We're almost at the Staten Island Ferry. It's right here. Town Now says, Tom, what do you think of BlackRock? BlackRock just moved to the Hudson Yards. They have a really nice office in the Hudson Yards. Larry Fink is the CEO. Larry Fink had a really good interview on CNBC the other day, and he was talking about Japan. And this is right when I was sort of writing that bull thesis on Japan. If you want to read that, I actually included a link to that article. If you type !news, NEWS, in the chat, it'll have a Substack link, Walks Wall Street Substack. If you click the link and you scroll down about a third of the way down the page, it'll show you where I wrote about my bull thesis for Japan, and there's a video link that I've included, and you can watch exactly what the CEO of BlackRock is saying about investor interest in Japan. I think that's an interesting trend to watch, and as I've said before, I think Japan is poised to benefit from supply chains moving away from China. All right, hold that thought 1 second, guys. I got to put you on the floor with all the dirty rats. So give me 2 seconds, and I'll pick you guys up in 1 moment.
Here's funny. We're walking, John Couture, right? John Couture. He's like, where the fuck are we? I'm like, John, we like 2 blocks.
Okay, so one of the things I think we should quickly cover, specifically, I had to plug my phone in so it doesn't die. Now, one of the things that I think we should cover, obviously, is the CCP was in California, right, meeting with President Joe Biden and the governor of California, who I'm not very fond of. But did you guys notice how President Xi was kind of like, he didn't really come off as dominant at all? Do you guys kind of feel that way? He kind of came off as if he was like begging the United States to sort of play nice and he wants to keep the peace. And I think the reason why he's coming off like that is due to reasons that we have talked about before. And pretty much, just to put it bluntly, the rest of the world is pissed off about what happened during the coronavirus with COVID. due to the supply chains shutting down, right? Because China is the workshop of the world. And the reason why we've had 2 years of high inflation and, no products and services is because China was shut down. So all these companies and businesses and countries pretty much across the world is essentially saying, never again. We're going to diversify our supply chains. And you're starting to see a lot of big businesses pull their manufacturing capacity away from China, bringing it back to the US, Canada, and Mexico. Japan, Korea, and India are going to benefit hugely from this. So the stance that the CCP took this week when they were in the United States, let's actually head back because it is getting late. When they were in the United States was, look, they said they're not going to invade Taiwan. There's no plans, right? They were very direct in that. They said that the United States and China have a huge responsibility to essentially keep world peace, which I agree. And I thought this meeting was actually very, very positive for that. And due to those reasons, right? China doesn't want to be cut off from the rest of the world. Even if they say they do and they just want to be China first and only China, they don't really believe that. I mean, you'd have to be a sociopath to believe that. With globalization over the last 20 years, every country is very interdependent on another, right? It would be the worst possible thing in the world for China if the United States went into a crippling recession that would crush the Chinese economy. And China's not doing too well right now, regardless of what you hear, right? The housing market in China right now is probably worse than it was in 2008. They're probably going to do bailouts, government bailouts, backdoor bailouts, you name it. So this was very encouraging to me to hear this. I think China's going to start to play ball and play nice. At the end, President Joe Biden did blunder the whole thing because he was asked, he said, hold on, let me make sure. So that he blundered the whole thing because he was asked, he's like, you know what, after, meeting President Xi, do you still think he's a dictator? And Biden's like, yeah, he's a dictator. The guy's a dictator. After, he came here trying to make peace. Now, you shouldn't be, an apologist and, all that, but you kind of got to know the art of the deal, and you got to know when to wheel and deal, and you got to know when to put the gas on, and you got to know when to, take the gas off, right, and pump the brakes. You've already won the deal. Like, that was a huge win for America. That was a huge win for Joe Biden and the Biden administration. He should have answered something like, look, I don't want to answer a question like that after we've had extreme and incredibly productive conversations, bringing our two countries together, being the leaders of the world, right? With all of the wars and all of the atrocities that are going on throughout the world today, it's important that the US and China lead from the front, and this is what we are doing, right? It shouldn't have, threw a blow at China, right, as, the US probably has the upper hand. But anyway, I think this is something important we need to watch. And I think this is going to be very, very good for America. I think this is going to be very, very good for India, and particularly Japan, right? There's going to be a lot of manufacturing and job creation and growth in Asia. And I think China kind of knows that they have to come to the negotiating table here. So I don't know, any thoughts on that? Agreements, disagreements? At first I was kind of very off-put by the whole meeting, but I thought it was actually a success. So I give him 2 thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. The LT process's cabinet members do a good job of answering the questions. I mean, honestly, they probably should have just had Gavin Newsom ran the whole thing. I mean, I'm not a big fan of him either, but I mean, at least he's sharp. He has a very commanding voice, and he could wheel and deal. Like, you could tell he's a shyster a little bit. He could deal. So I would have probably had him in the driver's seat answering all the questions. But
it's sort of like when a customer says, yes, I'll buy, you just shut up and then you do the deal, right? You don't, hammer them more. And I think that's kind of what Joe Biden did. And look, the media is supposed to be an antagonist, but you have to reframe that narrative on the media and say, look, I think these are inappropriate questions at this time because we just had about 2 days of back-to-back very encouraging conversations that's going to be great for the rest of the world and put the United States in an even more dominant position and have us move closer to world peace. That's sort of how I would have framed it, not, gave the media the soundbite that they wanted. Sidewalk's closed. says President Xi is a dictator, president for life who disappears opponents, dictator. No, we're all in agreement to that. I think everybody knows that. But there's a time, you got to be a deal maker as a president, right? And Joe Biden had the biggest W of all time at that conference. He looked like a champ, right? And this is coming from a conservative. So sometimes when you have the upper hand and you do the deal, and you just had the president of China come all the way to China to California to do a major conference, and he's pretty much getting on his knees and saying that he wants to work with the United States, you take that W and you close your mouth, right? Not insult the guy. We know he's a dictator. We know, everybody knows. Sometimes you got to know how to deal. And I don't know, that's what I would say. But still, very positive, I think. I think overall this meeting was very positive for the Biden administration, right? I give credit where credit's due. I think this was very good. I think this was very positive, very productive. But I probably would have had, Newsom just drive the whole thing. I would say, okay, President Biden, you're a great guy. Sit down, eat the steak, have a nice dinner. But the talking head and the driver is going to be Gavin Newsom. He is going to drive the ship. And I think that would be fair. I think that'd be fair. It's his home state. He's the governor. Let him drive it. Let him answer the questions. And, that's it. Hi everybody, we are almost at the train here. Meg Star says you're being a bit naive. Maybe I am. I actually take that criticism. Maybe I am. Perhaps I am. All right, everybody, we are back at Wall Street, and I got to jump back on the train. But thank you guys for coming out. This was fun. I think this was a cool conversation. I'm glad we got to explore Lower Manhattan. We haven't been able to get here in a long time. So if you enjoyed the stream, feel free to leave a like on the video. Click the subscribe button if you're new. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Right back here live on Walks Wall Street at 8:30. If you want to sign up for our free financial newsletter, you could scan the QR code, and every other Thursday after the market closes, we will send you out all of our equity research for free. You could also listen to it via podcast on Substack. And that's it. Guys, take care. Thank you for joining us. Tao Now, thank you so much. Jen Claus, Hang with Mark Mom, thank you for coming out. Patricia Johnson, thank you for coming out so much. Jonathan Stephen Bate, the LT Prod, Lemonade, Midwest Private Equity Guy, take care. Jay Nash, Ali Star, Vinny, Solo, Mark Francis, NAV, Positive Princess. What else we got? Janice S, David Sommers, Thank you all so much. Octane, America, Andre, Meg Star, thank you so much for coming out. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Happy Friday.